All right, let's go with the Cumans now. So yeah, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to take a look at what Cumans can do as they're opening on Arabia. We've got that Arabia focus here. Cumans' main advantage is that they are able to make a second town center in Feudal Age. They're the only civ that can do that, and it can be very strong, and it can also be very weak, because if you make the second TC, then you're going to be very vulnerable to aggression before it comes up. And you're also going to be vulnerable to aggression once it's up, because the town center on its own doesn't really do anything, it just sits there. You actually need to have food economy to make vills. And so food economy is going to be, you have to add more farms. If you have to add farms, that's something that enemy archers can attack, or the opponent go for towers. That just costs resources, basically. The opponent can invest into military and attack you, and you're investing into farms to try and get vills out. So it can be a little bit difficult to make work. I think the lower elo you are, the better this second DC is, for sure. But I think on high elo, you still do like to go for it. Because Cumans, well, let's look at their other bonuses in the Feudal Age. They have archery ranges and stables cost negative, or minus 75 wood. Not negative 75 wood, but minus 75 wood. Maybe they could have worded it a little different in here. That's alright. But it makes sense if we use our brain. If you think about Dravidian bonus, they get 200 free wood in the Feudal Age. 200 free wood. So what's better? Even if you go for 2 production buildings, you're still only saving 150 wood. Whereas Dravidians, getting 200 free wood, you can spend that on anything, and it's just more than 150. So, in terms of actual bonus in Feudal Age, it's kind of a mid-bonus. Like, it's decent, but it's nothing special. The other thing that you get is the mounted units moving faster. Basically, your scouts move a little faster. So, if you're in a scout war, if you go scouts versus scouts, then you can force fights that the opponent can't run away from, kind of. 5% is not that much, though. You'll get a few pot shots on the way back to his base, but he'll run back to his TC eventually, or run back to spears. But it can be good. And, well, another one is battering ram available in Feudal Age. That is a bait, though. Like, if you go for the Siege Workshop and the battering ram, that's so expensive. So first, for the Siege Workshop, you need a blacksmith, because that's the prerequisite for Siege Workshop. So first, you need to have a blacksmith, then the Siege Workshop, then you need to make rams, and you need protection for the rams. Because you can't just make rams, those things die to vills. Your opponent's got a lot of villagers, hopefully, if they're playing well. So 150 for the blacksmith, 200 wood for the Siege Workshop, and then 160 wood, 75 gold apiece for the battering ram. This play is not good as an opening. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but this is not a play. The better play is just to go for a second TC, generally. And if you're in a position to be able to invest into Siege, like invest into Rams, generally just going to Castle Age is way better. There's probably a very small window where you could add Feudal Rams and it could be maybe okay, but then it's like you're fighting Castle Age units with Feudal units, right? Because if you, instead of going to Castle Age, you make this Ram play happen once you have some military, then your opponent's just up to Castle Age, and they're going to make, like, Knights or whatever, Mangonels. It's just going to be a disaster play pretty much all the time. So don't get baited into making Feudal Rams. The best part about the Feudal Siege Workshop is that you can make the Siege Workshop on the way to Castle Age, and then you can make instant Mangonels. As soon as you're up, you already have the Siege Workshop down, instant Mangonels. So that saves you a bunch of time. Like, Siege Workshop takes 40 seconds to build, so you already have it up, boom, instant Mangonels, and then you can be protected. And why are you being pushed as Cumans? Because if you make the second town center, you're investing a lot of more resources into your economy compared to the opponent. The opponent's going to want to get to Castle Age and push you with Siege. Makes sense? So, if you have the Siege Workshop already, you're going to be able to protect that 2 TC boom a lot better. So yeah, building the Siege Workshop on the way to Castle Age after you've done a 2 TC boom can be extremely strong, especially if your opponent has towers all over you, he's got crossbowmen or whatever. Gonna be amazing. If the opponent's going into, like, Knights against you, you have camels as well. I mean, if you just This stables costing minus 75 wood is actually insane for the stables. You can make 3 stables for 300 wood. Most civs make 3 stables for 350 wood. So you get 3 stables for less than the price of 2. So you just get 3 stables up, and then with your strong economy, because you've been making more vills than the opponent, you just stop villager production in Castle Age, and full camels, you'll stop the night push. It's no problem. Alright, so that's kind of a good overview of sort of what you can do with the Cuman bonuses. Oh yeah, they also have a team bonus where their palisade walls are a little bit stronger, so that if there's some easy to wall areas, you can get some walls up while you're booming. It could be very strong. But yeah, basically, here, let's just take a look at this map. So, if you were to play Cumans and go for the second TC, which you really like to do, this is Arabia, so it's a little bit open, but a good position for the second TC, actually, is on the stone. So what you can do is you can throw down the TC on the stone here. Stone and wood, ideally. Obviously, you're not always going to get a nice TC spot. Like, sometimes your stone's going to be out here. In that case, the TC should be on wood. But if you can find a stone and wood area, that's really good. Because if you get a TC here, send some villas to stone, you can make towers to prevent the opponent from killing you. And most importantly, you can get to Kipchaks in the Castle Age. So you get the TC here, you're booming. Like, you could TC this, and then you'd wall sort of, like, to this stone like this. You'd have a few houses up here or some palisade walls. And how's the opponent going to attack? If your TC's here, how is he going to attack with feudal units? Like, maybe he towers this wood line. Okay. And you still have the stone, then you still go back here. And the gold's not that important. You can always buy a bit of gold. If you're on stone, you can always buy a bit of gold or, like, sell a bit of stone, too, just to get up. You're not really making gold units, but you could be. You could go to archers. But yeah, you could like wall here, wall to the TC, and then berries, like you'd kind of wall to the edge here. And to protect the berries, you'd have a small base, so you don't care about this wood line. We can zoom out like a little bit here. So you go like this, and then kind of in front here, TC here, and then kind of to here. The problem is if the opponent put a tower here and a tower here, then you have no wood, right? So that's why being on stone is good. You can counter tower. You try and use your vills to kill the opponent's tower. Just try and prevent this tower from going down, because that would be a disaster. Sort of how you'd want to play it. In terms of build order, actually the fastest possible build order to get to Feudal Age is ideal if you're going to go for this 2 TC play. The earlier you get that second TC down, the better, because you can just make more and more vills. I actually made a 17 pop no loom build order for scouts, which you can use for Cuman 2 TC. I think it's even faster than I would normally go, though. Like, you have to do a bunch of weird stuff to make it work, so I would recommend going for even 18 with loom. Even 18 with loom can be good. Do you get horse collar always? I would say horse collar is really good for this, because your farms will run out sort of when you want to click up if you don't get horse collar, and that could be a problem. I mean, yeah, I think if you're scared, you just don't go for the second TC. You don't skip horse collar. If you go for the second TC, you're committed to going super greedy. So I think you want to get horse collar in that situation if you're going to go for the second TC. I mean, there are going to be situations where you get taken off of berries or something. You just can't really afford it. You just need farms now. But generally, yeah, you want to get that horse collar. Of course, I'm assuming that you're pushing deer as well. I'm assuming that we're at a level where we're pushing deer for this. It can be very good. This would actually be a pretty good map with the back berries too, because the berries are so important to this. If your berries are forward and your opponent just rushes you and takes you off berries, you can't really go 2 TC boom, because you can't even keep 1 TC working at that stage. So yeah, really important to protect that food eco, push in deer, make sure you're taking your animals really effectively so that you have less rot. You can get a few Dark Age farms, actually, if you really can't afford horse collar. Assume second TC's trash was late. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if you go military first, and then you go second TC in Feudal Age, it's not really good. I think it's better to just go up to Castle Age and make 3 TCs, or just like make an attack happen. If you get ahead in the military, it's generally going to be better. If you just add a second TC, you're kind of giving initiative to the opponent, because then the opponent's going to be up faster to the castle age, and then they can kind of come back with the tech advantage. Anytime that I've tried to go for a second TC after going for anything that's like aggressive or any kind of military, it just feels too slow. Like, even if you go barracks stable or barracks archery range and then add the TC behind it, like, I feel like it's just too slow. Maybe there's some situation where it can be good, but I haven't really discovered the ultimate Cuman play if it's good. But yeah, this tends to be pretty good. Even on my level, like even on high level, you can make this instant 2TC work. If the opponent goes fast up to the castle age, you can idle your TC. Like, you can get to 40 vills. This is the perfect time. You get to 40 vills, and then you idle the TC. And then you get to castle age, and then you resume vills after. Or you don't resume vills after. You just make like 3 stable knights or 3 stable camels or whatever, and you could just crush everything. So that's actually a really good play. So Cumans is a very weird civ to play, because you can get so far ahead economically, but you can die so hard because you have no military. And Cumans don't get guard tower, by the way. So you can't really stop a siege push with guard tower. But you can stop a siege push with a castle, which is why we love to have this TC on the stone. So you can go for a bunch of vills on the way up to the castle age, make a castle, even if you have to give up 1 TC. You make a castle, Kipchaks with the extra arrows actually dominate rams, so if the opponent's trying to do a ram push, it just doesn't work. And Kipchaks, the extra arrows will really help against mangonels as well. They fire 2 extra arrows, so like each Kipchak sort of does 3 damage per hit to mangonels. Now, they do get one shot by mangonels, so you have to be so careful with the micro, but you do move 10% faster. Like, they're pretty speedy. They're very speedy. And yeah, this unit is just really good. It doesn't cost any food either. And then, of course, you can go to the opponent's base and harass once you deal with the enemy push. It can be a very good play. And if your opponent's just booming, guess what? Cumans, they have capped ram in the castle age, which is crazy. So, like, basically, you get the siege workshop on the way up. If the situation calls for it as well, you can make a couple rams on the way to castle age. You have 2 rams, and then you get capped ram upgrade, and you just push with 2 capped rams. That's gonna destroy everything. If the opponent's in castle age, that will kill everything. As long as you can support these rams. It's very good. So basically, battering rams, they don't have any splash damage. But capped rams, they get splash damage. So if there's a wall, I can't really place it, but say that there's like a 3-tile wall, and your guy's attacking the middle tile, it's going to hit all 3 tiles at the same time. So it's very, very strong. Capped ram upgrade's really good. It's only 300 food as well. It's not crazy. And I mean, remember, your eco is just turbo boosted from the 2TC play, so you have that 300 food, I can guarantee it. If you get Horse Collar, of course. Battering rams also have -3 melee armor, and capped rams have -2 only. So capped rams are a little bit more resilient to villagers attacking them. We also get 25 extra HP, which is really good. And yeah, I mean, the extra 10 pierce armor doesn't really matter. They have basically infinite. It only matters against trebuchets, basically. It's like the only thing that does that much damage. Bombard towers also do a lot. But it doesn't matter. The bombards only do 120. It's just the trebuchets that do 200 pierce damage. So it actually does matter against trebuchets. Some niche knowledge for you guys. Capped ram is way better than regular ram, yes. It's a huge upgrade. So it can be very good for Cumans. Going for that 2TC play to start is going to usually be the best, and then you can get into kind of whatever you want. With the archery range and stables costing less, you can go crossbowman, because you can just get like 3-4 ranges. Just start massing. You can go step lancers as well, crazy unit from like 4 stables. I mean, knights is always pretty good. You can really do any of those. You can even do CA. Yeah, you don't have bracer for the late game, doesn't matter. We're thinking of doing major damage in the castle age, so you go for CA, it's very good. If you didn't want to play towards second TC, like sometimes it's just not good. Sometimes the map is just so bad for it. You have like forward berries, you can't even TC a woodline or something, it's disgusting. Yeah, you can play archers. You could try two archery range open, actually. With the cheaper archery range, go for 2 ranges right away. Your opponent might go skirmishers, but that's okay, because fletching archers will deal with skirmishers initially. You get like 8 fletching archers, you're going to be killing even like 5 skirmishers. If you've got a hill, he doesn't have armor yet, 5 skirmishers is like actually no problem. Can be really good. Like if he's going 1 range skirms and you're going 2 range archers, I'm just thinking in that situation, like maybe you'll have 8 archers. Maybe you'll have like 6 if he's lucky, but you have the starting scout, right? So your archers will kill his starting scout right away, and then his skirms will just tickle your starting scout, and then your scout helps in this fight. So that's why archers can be very good, and skirmishers, they just struggle against the starting scout. So if you keep your starting scout alive, that 2-range play with the Cumans can be very good. It can definitely throw the opponent off, especially if the opponent thinks you're going to go 2 TC, and then you just go 2-range archer, and he's got Vills forward or something, and he just loses them all, and he loses the game. He'd be very good. Otherwise, I mean, you could go scouts, but you're not going to have 2 stables, because you don't have the economy to support 2 stables anyways, so, like, having the slightly cheaper wood cost doesn't really matter that much for scouts. I think going for a 2-range archer play can be really good. And then, if the opponent's skirm numbers get out of control, then you add the stable for a discounted price. Then you start making scouts against the enemy skirms. Now you have a bunch of archers and scouts. And that's sort of just like a standard army composition anyways. It's really good. And of course, with the stronger palisade walls, you just wall up. You have your strong army. He can't really counterattack very easily. And you just play it kind of normal from there. You don't utilize the second TC. Another thing I didn't mention earlier is that your second TC builds very slowly. I think it's half the time. I think it takes twice as long to build the starting TC as Cumans. Yeah, it even shows here. Oh, wait, it's not quite double. It's 4 minutes and 30 seconds, according to this tech tree. I'm going to trust it. But anyways, the standard number of villagers to build the second TC is 8. You want to send 8 villagers to build that second TC. And then you get your farms down. Like, you can't think that you're going to be making a barracks and then a production building to stop. Like, you can't make any military with this. If you're on stone, you can maybe make 1 tower to protect, but you have to just make farms until you have sufficiency. So each town center requires 6 villagers on farms to keep the TC running. So you need 12 farms before you even think about adding something else. Now, you can go 12 farms, and then you can add barracks and start making military in the feudal age if you're feeling really pressured and you feel like it's the right situation. Not just 12 farms. Like, if you have 5 on berries or something, 12 minus 5, right? But eventually the berries do run out, so you have to be careful about running out of food. Why exactly 8? It's just the optimal number of vills to get it up and running. I'm pretty sure Spear of the Law went over it a few years ago. Maybe even like 3-4 years ago at this point. But that was the conclusion back then. Pretty sure 8 vills was the optimal number. Something like that. It's a bunch of math that I don't really understand, but anyways. And also, if the opponent sends like a militia to attack you and you have 8 vills there, he can't really kill your vills because you just have a bunch of vills. If you have 4 vills there, 3 militia drush is just going to kill you. If you have 8 vills, okay, you can fight it back and still get the TC up. Okay. I think that's what I have to say about the Cumans in terms of their opening. We're not going to get into like late game strategies or anything. That's not what we're about here. But yeah, second TC is going to be their sort of standard, you can say. Otherwise, 2-range archers is it's another good play. You could do scouts, but you feel like you don't get a ton out of the scouts. Yeah, you have the faster moving scouts, but you play scouts when the situation calls for it. Like, if the map is fairly wallable really easily, and you just want to make a little bit, like just a few units to run around to try and harass enemy walling vills, and just wall up yourself and maybe go to Castle Age, could be good. 5 years ago, you just checked. Yeah. Oh my god, time flies. But yeah, you could go scouts as them as well as your opening, just to play normal scout things. Just get double bit axe and horse collar. Just play with scouts and try and kill walling vills while you wall up yourself, and then get to Castle Age. But I mean, you're not really using Cuman's strengths by doing that. Like, it's fine, but yeah, I would say that's like their third opening, you could say. Men-at-Arms for them is kind of... You have nothing for Men-at-Arms. It's like, yeah, you could do it. Honestly, you could probably go Men-at-Arms into double-range archers. I haven't really discovered that possibility yet, but You could try it. It feels weird as Cumans, which means that it actually could be good. Because people might not expect you to go Men-at-Arms as Cumans. So, like, yeah, you don't have any bonuses for Men-at-Arms, but then the follow-up could be 2 range archers instead of 1 range. You can get ahead. Yeah, I mean, and then eventually you add rams forward. Dude, we're cooking now. That's such a fantasy play, though. But what if? Could be good. Imagine you go double range archers, force out a bunch of skirms, and then you got your Men-at-Arms with a ram, and you just push. I mean, I'm not going to say that won't work. Maybe you guys can try it. Yeah, let's talk about Dravidians next. So, what do we got for Dravidians? We actually mentioned Dravidians when talking about Cumans. So, yeah. Well, that's perfect. It's the next civ in the list. So, let's take a look at their tech tree. What do we got here? We've got receive 200 wood after advancing to an age. So, basically, when you reach feudal age, when you reach castle age, when you reach imperial age, you get 200 free wood. Of course, in the earlier ages, it's going to be more beneficial. Once you reach imp, getting 300 or getting 200 wood is kind of like, yeah, it's nice, but not the biggest deal. But yeah, insta 3 farms, yeah, you could do that. Or what you could do is just have less villagers on wood on the way up, and then use that resource to make your archery range. So I'm thinking you have 3 or 4 wood cutters on the way up as Dravidians. What does that mean? Instead of having 7 or 8 on wood, you have 3 or 4. Well, now you've got 4 extra vills to put on food. So you've got 4 more food vills on the way up to the feudal age. What does that mean? Each villager collects, you can say, like 40 food on the way up. You're going to have 160 extra food once you reach feudal age. And if we look at their other bonuses, we've got barracks techs cost minus 50%. Exactly. So we've got half price on these Men-at-Arms. So upgrade is normally 100 food, 40 gold. 50 food, 20 gold for this civ. So, not only can you get more food by having less on wood, you spend less on the upgrades, and now, suddenly, 5 Men-at-Arms Drush with Arson sounds like it's on the table. Sounds like it's actually possible. Simply because of these 2 bonuses here. So that's one of Dravidian's best openings. If you're facing Dravidians, you're going to be thinking, yeah, he's probably going to Men-at-Arms rush me. Because it's so good. So, as the Dravidian player, you like that Men-at-Arms rush. It's very good. And another bonus that they have is skirmishers and elephant archers, but skirmishers specifically attack 25% faster. You have insane skirmishers. So you go Men-at-Arms into skirmishers. You can go Men-at-Arms archers to bait out enemy skirms, and then you make your own skirms, which are better. That can also be good, but Men-at-Arms into skirmishers is a very good play as the Dravidians, especially if you have like 5 Men-at-Arms. What kills that? Like, if you have 3 Men-at-Arms, okay, the opponent's just going to make like 5 scouts or whatever and just crush you. If you have 5 Men-at-Arms, maybe you add a spearman behind that. Scouts are not going to do anything, so he has to add ranged units against you. Your skirmishers are better than his skirms, and your skirms still counter archers. So your opponent is now stuck. And so that's why this opening is so good as Dravidians. Because you get those Men-at-Arms forward into skirms, and that's just such a good composition. If mobility is not a big issue. Like, obviously, scouts have more mobility, they move faster, so they're going to pick off your reinforcements on the way forward, stuff like that. But yeah, really, really strong. Perfect strat for Haboob. Yeah, maybe. Could be. That's a very aggressive map, so I wouldn't say it would be bad. It's probably actually really good. And 5 Men-at-Arms with Arson, they will get in through houses. Like, I'm pretty sure even if you repair with like 4 or 5 vills, I don't think you can actually stop that. I'm pretty sure they're just that strong. You can go for other openings. Like, you could go defensive skirm opening and just boom. Getting that extra wood, you could just add farms. Like, you can wall up, get horse collar double axe, and just use skirmishers to defend. And if you get enough skirmishers together, you're starting to threaten scouts. That extra attack speed is actually huge. Because normally, when you're microing skirmishers against scouts, you get 1 hit, and then you fall back, and then the scout gets like 2 hits. And then on the second hit, you can attack. But with Dravidian skirms, you can shoot, then the scout gets a hit, and then you can shoot again. So, yeah, you're just able to micro your skirms to do almost double damage against scouts. Because you can sneak an extra hit in where other civs can't. And, yeah, I mean, say that you have like 20 skirmishers. You're sort of 3-shotting the scouts consistently. That's super easy. And, I mean, you can always add in a few spears once the scout numbers get to be crazy. But you get a big skirm mass, you're not dying. It's going to be amazing. And then you get up, and then you make Elite Skirm, which still has that attack speed bonus. You could even make some Elephant Archers with the attack speed bonus. That could be pretty good. And, remember, barracks techs cost less, so that includes Pikeman upgrade. So you can get up, and you got that half-price Pikeman. Suddenly your Pikemen are 80 food, 45 gold to get into. And you just go Skirm Spear. Like, you don't even need gold units as this civ. Skirm Spear is enough. You have bonuses for skirms, attacks faster, and then you have bonuses for pikes. It's cheaper to get into. And then, of course, the wood helps, because these are both wood units. It's really good. That's what you're thinking with this civ. And then, there's more. You've got siege units cost minus 33% wood. So, mangonels go from 160, what is it? It's like 118 or something? I can't remember, actually. It's so cheap. You definitely like that. Of course, your scorpions are cheaper, too. And, I mean, who could forget the siege tower is cheaper? Kind of crazy. Having cheaper mangonels, you go for a mangonel push with full trash. What even counters that? You have Skirm Spear with mangonel push? Dang. Very strong. Very, very strong. And then, I mean, late game wood steel champions are so good, too. Infantry ignore armor is usually like at least +3 damage to everything. And for more armored targets, you're doing even more sort of damage, you can say. I mean, again, as I always say, like any civ can do scouts as well. You could play scouts as Dravidians, and just like with the Cumans, wall up and play scouts with Horsecollar and Double Axe, and just develop your economy with scouts to sort of harass the opponent. And that can be fine. You don't really care about bloodlines in this age. You don't need any upgrades in this age for scouts to be good. And that extra wood that you start with helps sort of scout and boom play anyways. So it's not even bad. It's not their main play, but it's something you can do. And of course, you could just open ranged units as an opening as well. Just defensive skirms. It's kind of like the scout opening, except for that it's more against civs that you know are going to be going infantry or they're going to be going archers. It's nice to just go for that defensive skirm opening. If the opponent's going to go scouts, you can just match his scouts and boom, better. Like if your map is really easy to wall, say your opponent's Franks or something, you can make your own scouts. Just match the opponent's scouts. Yeah, he's a little bit more HP, so just don't take any bad fights. Try and pick off walling vills while you get your own boom going, and walls yourself. And yeah, and then you can play towards your good units later. That's completely fine. Okay, let's look at Ethiopians next. So Ethiopians, very similar to Dravidians, actually, in the fact that they also get 200 resources when they advance to the next age. So it's basically the same bonus, except for that they get 100 food and 100 gold instead of 200 wood. So that's actually better in a lot of situations because food and gold are more valuable than wood in terms of like wood collects faster. So if you get 100 food, that's insane because food is just so good for making bills and stuff. And gold, of course, helps with archers. And so yeah, your archer line fires faster, so it sort of makes you feel like you really want to go archers. They don't have to go archers right away, but of course, firing faster is going to allow you to do more damage. More damage is very good, and like attack speed on archers is really good because you need mass to make archers good anyways, and the more dudes you have, the more dudes are benefiting from 18% faster firing, and that's going to be really good. So, what can you do with this? They actually don't have that many bonuses, right? It's basically just these three. The other one is Pikeman upgrade is free in the Castle Age, which is good, but we'll get to that. And, well, their outposts are giving extra line of sight and Stonecross removed. That's good, but I mean, you don't really use that super early. Like, you can sort of defensively. It's not really an aggressive thing early. You're not going to have a Vilford. I mean, you could, but yeah. Anyways, so you have to think really hard about how you're going to be using this extra gold and extra food, because that's basically your only bonus, almost. You kind of have to rely on your tech tree, and then this bonus is sort of what you get. And then, of course, your archer line firing faster is your military bonus. So you really want to be utilizing these two bonuses effectively. So what utilizes this bonus? Men-at-Arms. You basically get your Men-at-Arms upgrade for free, kind of. Of course, you still have to spend 40 seconds researching it. But, you know, you get your free Men-at-Arms upgrade, you can say, and then you have 60 gold left for your archer production. That's sort of their standard play, is Men-at-Arms archers as the Ethiopians. And yeah, you like to play that. Of course, if you're playing Men-at-Arms archers, you really want to keep your scout alive to kill enemy spears, or skirmishers, I mean. The initial skirmishers, it can help so much, having that starting scout alive against those initial skirmishers. So, yeah, Men-at-Arms archers, and you can be up really fast. You can go up 19 or 20 pop for Men-at-Arms, and since you don't have to collect this 200 resource, you just get it for free. It's like, you can hit these fast timings, whereas other civs might not. Like, if you have a consistent eco bonus, like 5% faster or whatever, like resource collection, let's say something like Slavs. They are not really going to be able to go up as fast because they want to be using their farming bonus. So if you're up too early, you can't really make farms super effectively while doing Men-at-Arms rush. But then their food income is going to be good later. This kind of bonus, where you receive extra resources right after reaching the next age, this you want to use as soon as possible, and to hit a stronger timing. So Ethiopians is more timing focused. You really need to do something early feudal age. So Men-at-Arms can be good. If you just go straight archers, it's kind of slow unless you have a forward archery range. So generally Men-at-Arms is really your best play. Now, unfortunately, the gold doesn't really help you if you go for scouts. It would help you if you're going scouts if the civ got bloodlines, but it doesn't have, you don't get bloodlines. So yeah, I mean, if this bonus was on a civ that had bloodlines, you'd be using it for bloodlines scouts for sure. But without bloodlines, yeah, Ethiopians going scouts, you're not really utilizing your bonus super well. So I would recommend not going scouts so often. If you're going to go for more defensive play with them, just straight range with walls and just going archers can be really good. Archers behind walls can kind of kill anything, so it's really good to play like that. Otherwise, Men-at-Arms archers is, yeah, really their best option to go forward. In terms of getting deeper into the game, you really want to keep your archer mass alive to hit the crossbowman timing. So if you're up fast, and you can get up faster using this bonus too. Like, say that you skip the Men-at-Arms. Skip the Men-at-Arms, and you focus on trying to get to crossbowman timing. You go for straight one-range archers at home. You can get walls or not, depending on how sort of greedy you want to be. Less walls are going to be more greedy, you can say. Sometimes your map is really easy to wall with just a few walls, so it's good to get to. But yeah, you focus on getting a few farms and then the market, and then you sell your stone. So you can go one-range archers, constant archer production, and then you get to like 8 farms. Then the market, sell your stone and sell whatever wood, and just get up to castle age super fast. That's what you really like to do as Ethiopians. And yeah, I mean, this extra resources really help with that. And then if you can get to castle age super fast, then your faster firing archers will just kill everything. You get up really fast to the castle age, you throw down an instant university, and you're only going to have like 8 to 10 archers once you're up. You're going to go for sort of like 8 to 10 archers and attack. You're going to have crossbowmen and bodkin arrow and then ballistics, and you hope to win the game right there. The faster firing really helps against palisade walls. because, yeah, you can just tear through them even faster. That's a sort of play where you're playing a little bit later into the game. So there's men-at-arms. Archers is going to be sort of your early attack, but if you want to play towards a Castle Age timing, then just straight archers, 8 farms, market, buy up, and then get up and go for ballistics and crossbowmen and bodkin, and then dominate. How about switching to knights with the civ? Yeah, I mean, you don't have bloodlines. Your blacksmith isn't, like, we don't have the final armor. It can do, like, you can do something. You get +1, and then you go for, like, 3-4 knights. Can be good. If there's some skirms, but not, like, 30 skirms. If there's, like, I don't know, 15 skirms, 20 skirms, maybe. A few knights can be good, or just a few siege units. You could pick them off. Could be alright. But yeah, you don't want to heavily commit to knights. But you can. You can make some knights. They can definitely do the job if you really need them. But yeah, they're not a knight civ at all. Yeah, it does say that they're a siege civilization, but that doesn't come into play until later. You actually have no bonuses on siege. You have 1 bonus on siege units. It's this torsion engines. I mean, you do have everything from the siege workshop. And your siege unit workshop units blast radius is increased, so basically they just hit more things. The splash damage, or the splash area, is increased for your siege onager, heavy scorpion, bomber cannon. The cost of the upgrade is very expensive. 1,000 food, 600 gold. I guess not very expensive. You can just say expensive. Almost another Imperial Age, you could say. Just to give you a little bit more blast radius, which it's actually really good, especially on bombard cannons. Yeah, it does list that it helps the rams as well against buildings. So that's pretty good. But yeah, Ethiopians is pretty simple. Like, it's either men-at-arms archers or archers and a crossbowman. Those are standard options. Obviously you can do other weird things if the situation calls for it, but those are sort of the things that you want to be playing towards. Showtails late game? Nah. Showtails in the mid game maybe, but late game they eat all of your gold. Showtail warriors, 30 gold is not that much, but they train in 4 seconds, and they're so weak. Like 50 HP, not really any armor or anything. They kill stuff fast, but they also die really fast, so you end up eating through all of your gold if you play this unit. You really want to just be on Arb, Halb, and Siege, and you kill everything with that. Like, sometimes the situation calls for the Showtails, but honestly, yeah, it's not really the thing that you want, usually. Yeah, Showtail warriors and camels receiving less damage from mounted units with royal heirs is actually pretty good. You don't have bloodlines for your camels, but with this upgrade, actually your camels are decent. I mean, you don't have the final armor either, so, like, they're specifically decent at fighting heavy cavalry, like paladins. And I mean, that's why you'd be making heavy camel anyway. So sometimes heavy camel can be good for Ethiopians, but generally you just go Halb. Because your pikeman is free, or pikeman upgrade is free. So you're already sort of partially there, and you just get Halb, and then you're good. Yeah, it's -3 damage, but then you don't have the final armor, so it's really more like -2 damage. So, I mean, for Showtails in the mid game, if you have a castle and you're spamming Showtails and then your opponent's going knights against you, you get royal heirs before a fight, it's so good. This is not standard gameplay, but yeah, if you're gonna go Showtails in the mid game, right before taking a big battle, you get the royal heirs against knights, and it can be very good. Yeah, versus Meso, yeah, if you're up against Eagle Civs, they don't have knights, Showtails can be good. Of course, you're concerned more about archers. Like, if you have a big archer mass, then the Showtails can be good, but they can also be bad, though. Like, they're pretty expensive. 80 resources, and they die so quickly. Like, they're quite expensive. Of course, they can kill stuff if they can reach, but it's kind of tricky.